Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me. Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
Marshall Public Schools develops the potential of each learner for success in a changing world.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Public forum. Now is the time that public can approach the board. Our presentation, Greater Minnesota.
We're fortunate to have Karen Dolan and Melissa Novostad with us this afternoon. They can come on up with Greater Minnesota Corporation that provides a very good variety of services for us, and they're going to give the board an update on what's going on. So, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us this evening. And we're celebrating 5 years within the Marshall Public School System. So we're excited to have that partnership and hope to have that partnership for years to come. We've been very fortunate to serve hundreds of children and families from 0 to 21 years of age within the Marshall School District for the last several years. We keep very busy with the work that we do. So I thought maybe I'd just highlight a little bit about how our services get started in our school so that you could kind of have that kind of thought in mind. All the students that we work with have significant mental health symptoms and behaviors that they're experiencing, anywhere from depression, anxiety management concerns, communication deficits, oppositional defiant disorder, where maybe they're not listening to direction or able to take feedback from teacher, more disruptive in the classroom, meaning that they need a higher level of service care from our classroom teachers, paraprofessionals, and educators within the system. So our referrals that we get come from our special education department within Marshall School System, school counselors, principals, administrators, direct staff as well. We meet with children and their parents to get a diagnostic assessment, gain kind of a family history, look at symptoms before providing treatment, and then we're able to schedule goals with the child and family to provide services anywhere from 1 to 4 times a week, depending on the intensity of needs with the kiddos. So that's kind of unique too for Greater Minnesota to be able to access students within the school day, sometimes on their days that they are having tremendous difficulty with emotion regulation and management, and also be able to have scheduled opportunities with their parents out in the community or in their family home as well. So we're able to kind of be out of a box, so to speak, with our services, which is really neat for the services that we provide. Some students and families we've been with for several years. A lot of generational family difficulties that go on and struggle with emotional behavioral management. So we're able to form that relationship too with the family system and be able to offer them the support that they need within their school day. I would say that parents give us great feedback about being able to maintain their employment too, not having to take as many days off of work to transport their children back and forth to mental health, basically medical appointments, putting their jobs at risk as well. So that's been a very big plus for our community too, to save on families and their transportation and their employment as well. I feel that we are reducing stigma too about mental health services now that we've integrated them into the Marshall School System as well, where it seems like someone's coming to see a counselor or therapist and other people see them too. They see our faces in the hallways at school. Students and professionals have a chance to chat about different things throughout the day too and problem solve. And students are able to see that it's something that's part of the school system, so it's a normal process for them to go to get some support services too. So it's been a really great tie-in to our district as well. You should see some information on your electronic school board about how our population of services has increased throughout the years. We've also been able to add different service providers. I've been with Greater Minnesota for 5 years here in Marshall, and Melissa's been with us for the last 2. We've just had such a great deal of referrals and families that need extra support that we're able to bring on some extra staff members too, and that need continues to grow. Most of our schools have waiting lists for mental health services, and it's a challenge sometimes to be able to keep up with the ones that we have on services and then integrate new too. So working through some of those hurdles as well. I'd mentioned that our services start out at 0, so from birth on. Melissa does work closely with our early childhood program from birth to 5 to kind of integrate into the Parkside Elementary School, and we'll share with you a little bit about how that process goes.
Yeah, so this summer we're actually hoping to try something a little different, trying to create a bridge between the 0 to 5 program, and then when they turn 5, they go into kindergarten and they're meeting new teachers, they're in a new school building, they're meeting new friends, they're there all day. It can be very overwhelming for them. They're also saying goodbye to their seed worker who they've been with for sometimes all the way from birth to 5, and they're meeting a new Greater Minnesota staff at that same time. So incredibly overwhelming for kids who are already at risk to struggle in the school system. And so what we're hoping to do this summer is bridge that program. So we're hoping to create a summer program where there'll be the seed worker and the Parkside Greater Minnesota staff. And we'll have a group at Parkside School, so those kids can roam the hallways, be in the lunchroom, kind of get settled into the school building. They're also meeting us as well, so that when the school year starts, they know us better, and we know them, and we're better able to kind of help them transition into the kindergarten school year. So we're really hoping that that will be successful this school year to kind of bridge that gap. We also provide a lot of different groups in the summer. We have groups in all of the school buildings that we have. We have groups at Parkside that might work a lot more on impulsivity and friendship skills. They have groups at the middle school. At the high school, it might work on self-esteem, employment skills, friendship skills. And it's great for kids because they can also see that other kids struggle with some of the same things. And so that's a really great thing, especially for some of those older kids as well. It's also really helpful in the summer. That can be a big time where kids just have a lot of freedom. It's not very structured. Sometimes they don't have any connection to other people all summer long. So to have our summer groups with Greater Minnesota is huge for some of these kids and families.
Yeah, and then we have a worker therapist or a mental health practitioner at every school within the district. Parkside has 2, the high school has 2, as well as the middle school here, just depending on population and referral rate for our kids in the district as well. So we're seeing the needs of our students. They're definitely getting recognized and getting into those services pretty quickly too. So that's been a real big positive for the last couple of years as well. Melissa highlighted those groups, and we try to offer those groups at every age population as well. They just take a little bit different shift as far as the focus and location of where they're doing those groups. You'll also notice that we also do some kind of social work, so to speak, helping families with some stability services, different referrals and stability and maintenance within our community, trying to get kids involved outside of the school or family system and trying to help out with mental health services, connection to other providers, sometimes for more specific services, or psychiatry, physical health, dental health, more family stability, housing, different concerns like that too. So we try to look at some of those key factors of instability within family systems too, and provide kind of a holistic, a whole family approach to that as well as we go through mental health services with some families. So that's kind of our Greater Minnesota Family Services kind of in a nutshell. It continues to grow and expand. And we've just really been thrilled with being able to work in the school system to help out. And hopefully that's a partnership that we'll be able to have from years to come as well, and be able to network. It's been really great to just collaborating with the special education departments and school counselors and administration as well to help the students out on a day-to-day basis, because their worlds change very quickly and sometimes need that daily contact too. And we're very well trained to be able to access and support those needs too on a day-to-day basis as well.
So do you guys work with every kid all summer, every student, or just those groups, or is it?
It really depends on our referral rate. I would say that probably at the elementary school, there's probably about 30 students per counselor or therapist caseload. So we work with those specific students throughout the summer. It is voluntary. All of our services are voluntary. So it is something that families elect to participate in. Some do choose not to participate over the summer months. Some travel to visit other family members or just take a pause from services too. But we'd like to keep them connected and into a schedule and a routine and keep working on those skill sets throughout the summertime. It would be great. Mm-hmm.
And it can be really flexible in the summer. Sometimes groups just don't work for families. There's a lot of activities that happen in the summer. So we can still provide individual services and family services as well in the summer. We can kind of tailor it to what the family's able to do.
Are you a private agency, state agency, federal? Where's all the funding coming from?
We're a nonprofit agency we're centered in Wilmer, so we've been around for 25 years now, and we receive a lot of our funding through grants. We
Okay.
also bill through insurance like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Health Partners, Cigna, all sorts of different insurance companies, as well as medical assistance, those kind of offshoots. as well.
Third-party billing? You do third-party billing?
Yes, we do, yes. Mhm.
So you work hand in hand with the counselors at the school too, I take that. And then with Southwest West Central's special ed program.
I would say that we're
Ours-
probably not so close in collaboration with Southwest Service Center.
Okay.
That's a different entity, but we are very closely connected and have weekly or biweekly meetings with the guidance counselors and student services at school too, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, especially as family crisis might arise or instability. We want to make sure that we're helping to be consistent with those kids and families too, to provide our services. Mhm.
It's a real gift to have you on site. In the past, before we had your services, we were stretched big time. Families have great need.
They do, and we all know that state dollars for counselors and social workers within our school districts, Minnesota is not getting what what our families and children deserve, and that's just a hard spot funding-wise. So we're glad to be able to supplement the need and be able to receive a very generous grant from the Department of Human Services too, to be able to offer these services where some families wouldn't be able to access them because they don't have insurance, period, or would not be able to afford services.
So Region 8, the Human Services Department in this area is supporting you financially as well?
They are not.
They are not?
They are not.
Western Mental Health Center, is that?
That is a separate organization. Yep. We look at them as a partner. They're separate. They offer some similar services, but they're housed differently. They have different funding streams as well, and offer their services go through adult years as well, through geriatric. So just a different span. But there are definitely times where they might have a specialty where we work in conjunction with them. And some of us are, they may have like a family counselor that comes out in the evenings from Western Mental Health Center, or access their 24-hour crisis helpline services if we're not available as well. So we try to look at them as another community partner, but definitely through a different funding system.
So Department of Human Services, you're paid directly from the state and Department of Human Services?
We get a grant.
Not regionally?
Correct. We get a grant from the state of Minnesota to help fund students that do not have insurance or do not have insurance that will pay for some of the skill sets of the specifics that we're working on.
It's
If
different
you
with
had
a
a need-
nonprofit.
It's
It's
very
very
different
different when
when
you're a
we're a
nonprofit, so
Yeah.
kudos to your group.
Yeah, well, we are definitely loving it, and we're serving so many kids and families that wouldn't otherwise be able to access this type of service. And Marshall has a very large transient population as well, so it really helps to equalize and support services for all versus those that can afford or have insurance. Those kind of things are definitely a part of the numbers game for businesses, but not something that we primarily focus on. So we definitely have a luxury with our grant.
So when they
Accepted well in each of the buildings? You're accepted well? You feel part of the
I
staff?
do believe so. It's like a separate part of our family.
Good.
We're integrated into staff meetings, and, it's very, very kind and welcoming, absolutely.
So when they graduate or they are over 21, you guys are able to refer them to like Western Mental Health or
Correct,
some
correct.
organization like that?
Absolutely. I work with the older students at Maytech, so that would be something where I work with them sometimes till they're 21, and some need that transitional support as they are out trying to try adulting on their own and don't really have that support system. And sometimes they're the source that, we've been together for many years, or just have the expertise sometimes to connect with them. It does take a little bit to refer them into the adult world, but that is something that we like to transition them out into as well, so that we can continue to focus on new students and referrals as well. The transition piece is not always easy and gentle, and we do have some students that stay with a counselor or therapist from the young school age as they go to middle school, as they go to high school too, because it's what makes sense the most for the family system with whatever sensitive things that they're working on too. So we do consult with our colleagues every other week and talk about those unique situations too, where it may be a special situation where we stay with them. Some of our families have gone through extreme trauma in their life, and transitioning them to a new school is hard enough, and losing a worker that has that trust and rapport already is detrimental. So we do transition on with some youth and families.
But see, notice that your numbers from 2012 to 16 is incredible. So do you find that we have more issues nowadays, or just that you guys are helping more people?
We're helping more, and
Good.
we have
That's
more
good.
staff that we have brought on board as well. But Marshall School District has been fabulous about recognizing the needs and referring them. 2012 and prior, we might all be wondering, what did we do with these students? Sometimes they just kind of fell through the cracks and didn't get the service needs, or we might have recommended them to families and didn't really have that follow-up. And now we're really getting some data on the families that we're able to support, and it's just been great, and we're getting a tremendous amount of referrals. We get a few referrals from Southwest Health and Human Services occasionally. Sometimes we're already working with them on different things too, so that's kind of nice, but most of our referrals come through our school system here. And on a day-to-day basis, I can imagine our counselors and administration teams are talking with Greater Minnesota too about other kids that have high levels of needs too, emotionally or behaviorally, and maybe their lens is changing too about how to recognize early on some of those interventions and make those referrals too.
So when you meet with the students, you pull them out of the class to meet with them?
Yep, we do. An example of my schedule, I book on the hour every hour and kind of just have a schedule with my students, and we meet the same time every week. I also have extra availability for emergency sessions, or if something came up, my students are very much aware that someone else might be having tragedy or crisis today and are flexible with swapping schedules, so to speak, too. But we communicate with our teachers at our school and talk about which classes would be a good one to take a student out of that they would most likely be able to continue to have academic success in. So we try to work around their academic scheduling, which in the younger students' ages, that can be kind of tough with their core scheduling as well.
And you're located at the middle school?
We have two offices
Are
here
you-
at the
no,
middle
I meant-
school. I'm located at Maytech,
Okay.
and Melissa is at Parkside 3 days a week, and over at the high school 1 day a week as well.
And what the office at the middle school is where?
The office at the middle school is right here. It used to be the Tiger Den, I think it.
Long
and
time
there's
ago,
another
yeah.
one, I don't remember. And then Lindsay's office is just down the hall here too. I don't know exactly what that one used to be, but hers, yeah.
Okay. At the space, you're making okay with the space?
We're making do with it.
Okay.
We'd love to bring in more people, honestly. We have enough services that we'd be able to provide. If we could hire therapists and recruit more therapists to our schools, that would be great. But we also are very well respectful of the space issue. I think we have Chantel maybe working at the middle school here, and she's down kind of in the basement underneath the library too. So we make do. When we started, we've been in closets, so to speak, and furnace rooms. And so, we are a guest in the Marshall School District, and we've been able to make do. Confidentiality and privacy is extremely important for what we do. Safety is extremely important for kids and families. So we are thrilled with where our locations are now, and students are very comfortable where they're at. So
Thank you for adapting to the space, though.
You do
Because
what
I
you
know
have
some
to
of
do.
those spaces aren't.
Yeah, we do what we need to do, and same goes for our kids and families too. They're adapting to transitions within their life too, and we just are trying to roll with that as much as we can.
And to a certain point, I think you do bring in students into the district office at times also because of the space.
Yeah,
pa-
different
space
meetings, absolutely.
constraints, yeah.
Conference rooms, sometimes team meetings and such like that too.
Do you have a relationship then with the Circle program as well, or?
I know I do. Andrew Peltz, we brought in Circle at Maytech about a year ago. So I've worked with him kind of just brainstorming about some of the difficulties that we've had with relationship and climate change, I guess I could say, transition change within our school. So Andrew is now present in our school 1 day a week, and we do circles together where we collaborate, and I'm kind of the relationship person that's kind of helped to bring some things together to help students kind of problem solve themselves. But that's a great restorative program that we've been able to have, I know at Maytech for sure, to help engage kids in change in communication in their building. It's been great. Mm-hmm.
I've observed Andrew with a group of 4 boys at the high school a couple of weeks ago. It's a nice process.
It is. It is. We have used it very well. We've had some significant racial tensions following the election this last year, and we had a significant altercation that took place in the school, and we were able to use that circle process with 60-some people that I was able to facilitate and talk about it. It gave us an avenue that kids already knew that we'd kind of been getting them into to talk about challenging situations and give them a voice to talk about it, give them a place to challenge adults in their world too, challenge safety, and then heal through that. Bring back kids that were suspended for a period of time and welcome them back into without shame and persecution and isolation. So we've been trying to use it to manage some of our day-to-day challenges within our school as well. So it's a nice, our students at Maytech are embracing it. So it's been a nice change that they've been able to do.
Well, and what I observed, Andrew, with these 4 young men, it was really an opportunity for them to not get suspended.
Correct.
There potentially would have
Correct.
been suspended
Yeah.
had they not worked out the issue with Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we're trying to look at other avenues, because sometimes that isn't what makes sense. More days out of school, more days out of classroom time
Yep.
doesn't make sense for that student not to repeat that behavior, and there might be other things that were going on at that time that led to those decisions to be made.
And they held each other accountable.
It is a very unique process.
Yes, it is.
Yep, it is. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank
We're
you.
blessed to have your service.
Well, thank you. And if there's anything further that you feel would be beneficial for Greater Minnesota we kind of look at collaborating for contracts for next year, feel free to let us know, and we'll be able to see what we can do and continue doing what we're doing right now as well. So thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do I have to do to get ready?
I know we got to learn anything. Board forum, does the board members have anything they'd like to bring up?
I just want to mention, we had a crisis committee meeting, I think it was last month, can't remember. But one of the neat things that they're doing is they have a crisis binder that's located throughout the building. They're going to make a flip chart for all the different scenarios, well, not every scenario, but all the different drills. Make it a little easier access for staff instead of going to the binder, trying to flip through it, trying to make it more accessible. So it's a neat process. I know we have a lot of committees, but they really do a nice job brainstorming through so many different scenarios and situations. So
Very good. Anybody else?
It was student-led Rotary this last week, and they chose Bill as their speaker. He did such a nice job. He introduced every single kid, and he had a story to tell about every little kid, and he went off on the granddaughters a little bit, and it meant a lot, I think, to the kids, because he couldn't have built them up any better. I mean, he just was so complimentary, and he did.
Thank you.
It was all
Lath
myself.
made me do it.
Yeah.
You're a good speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Achievement and Integration Plan Review.
Just some information that the Achievement and Integration Plan, after a few revisions or suggestions from the Department of Education, was given preliminary approval by the MDE, and there isn't anything new in it per se, just had to change some terminology and actually take some pieces out of the draft plan that was submitted. So you approved this in March, I believe it was, and it doesn't necessarily need subsequent approval, but wanted you to be aware of it and sort of outlining the work that we're going to be doing relative to achievement and integration.
Thank you. Moving on to our discussion items of strategic planning services and timelines.
Well, we were hoping to be able to have staff from MSBA here today and tonight to work with all sorts of our stakeholders, including students, administrators, staff, the school board today, and then a community input session tonight. They were coming from all different directions and had
probably worse weather in some of those locations than what we did. So we agreed to do some shuffling of the schedule. And I guess for informational purposes, Wednesday, May 10th will involve, they will be here, pending hopefully no snow. They will be here, yeah, no doubt. They will be here to meet with students at 11 o'clock, district representatives and principals at 1 o'clock. They'll meet with staff at 3:45, and then they'll be back here again a couple times. That night, actually, we'll have a strategic planning committee meeting. I'm just about done with the roster of that committee, although one of the things that I need from the six of you is to get some input and direction relative to who you want to represent the school board on that committee. They will, that night, there will be the strategic planning committee meeting starting at 6 o'clock, about 35, maybe 36 committee members, if everyone shows up, which I anticipate that they will. And then MSBA will be back here at the next school board meeting on May 15th to work through an activity with the school board, and we bumped the community input or listening session from tonight, when it was supposed to be, until 7 o'clock on Monday, May 15th. So it's a very important process, I believe. It's not just about facilities. It's really designed to be a comprehensive strategic planning process and talk about a variety of things, really everything related to education and what we do in the district. The committee meetings will be May 10th, May 22nd, and June 7th. And like I said, if you want to have some discussion about representation from the school board on that committee, that would be helpful for me in terms of knowing who to invite.
And according to the information we received from you, Scott, it would be beneficial for us to have three so it wouldn't be a formal meeting.
I would say 2 or 3, Bill. I think even when you get to 3, it gets questionable if we need to post it or not. I would suggest 2, but you're welcome to have more. If there are 3 or more, then I would suggest that we post and advertise it as a board meeting or work session or something like that. But this is your it's our process, but obviously you are the folks who are primarily responsible for directing it.
I know you mentioned, Scott, that if you're going to commit, you'd like us to be able to go to all 3 meetings, and so I'm out of town June 7th, so just all.
I would be able to be on it.
I'm not available May 10th.
I'm out of town on June 7th as well.
Karen, Jeff,
I'm not in town on the 10th.
Okay, Matt and I will be there.
got it.
And you can come if you want to, Karen. We'll make a special chair for you. So.
I mean, if somebody wants to attend, if you can make one of the meetings or whatever, feel free to do so. Listen in. You will be kept updated relative to what's happening, as everyone will, really, what's happening at each meeting, and anticipate summaries of the work that takes place. MSBA will share a variety of information with us, but I will put Matt and Jeff on the committee.
And just a question for clarification, Scott. On May 15th, the MSBA holds its input session with the school board. Is that when they take us through as board members, the Plus Delta?
Yep.
Okay. I think that's what I just needed, as long as we can all put our oar in the water.
Absolutely.
And if anybody else wants to come to those meetings, just notify us. What do we need to have for open meeting? Was it 3-day notice or?
72 hours.
So 72 hours. So if you are going to come, if it's going to be more than 3, I don't think we have to worry about it, but if it's more than 3, well then we need to notify that, okay? So everyone's still welcome to come.
But you two are the official ones, you and Matt, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Good deal.
Thank you, Jeff and Matt.
Action items. Approval of our health insurance bid. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
And I'll provide some information other than what Tricia has put up
Increase in rates is nice.
I know.
on the screen. the Health Insurance Transparency Act, better known as HITA, was enacted, I think, 4 years ago, and this is our second go-around through the process. And we had National Insurance Services being our consultant at this go-around. We started the process really before the start of the new calendar year, and National Insurance Services did a very nice job providing direction and information going through this process. We had the Insurance Committee meet a couple times, the District Insurance Committee meet a couple times, and we're informed about all the happenings with this process and then the results that we received. And by the way, they did unanimously approve the recommendation that had come forward. We'll get to that in just a minute. Matt Coleman was part of that insurance committee. And Matt, if you have anything to add as we go along here, please do so. We received proposals from 6 different companies or organizations. Those included the Service Cooperative, Blue Cross Blue Shield, NJPA, National Joint Powers Association, which is kind of like a service cooperative out of somewhere near St. Cloud, and Health Partners, Medica, and PEEP. And so we reviewed all 6 of those proposals and came forward with a recommendation to go with the Southwest West Central Service Cooperative, whom we've had a relationship with, I don't know, for probably about almost 30 years, I would say, that the district has had. And they were the only entity that provided a second and or final and best offer. Their first offer was quite good. It was a 7.5% decrease in the rates that we're currently paying for 16-17. And then there was, as part of the HITA process, there was the opportunity to have a second offer come forward, and the Service Cooperative did, and that was another 2% decrease in the rates, a total of 9.5% decrease, which is really, I mean, it's unheard of, actually, and that's for moving into 17-18. One of the caveats with that, or there were 2 caveats with that second and final offer, and that was the elimination of the $2,000 deductible plan, which you see up there. There won't be any open enrollment this year for 17-18, and then it will be eliminated as we move into 18-19, and we'll look to probably replace that plan with another choice when that time comes. And then the other thing that was proposed was that in 18-19, the highest increase that we could possibly have, there was a ceiling put on that, was 12%. And you might say, well, what does that mean? What it actually means, if we were scheduled in 18-19 to get, say, a 20% increase in our rates, the most that we would, that the Service Cooperative will give would be a 12% increase. So if we have the worst case scenario and the 12% with the 9.5% decrease from for 17-18, we're looking at just a 2.5% net increase. So this is really a good program.
Over 2 years.
Yeah, over 2 years, 2.5% over 2 years. So highly recommend accepting the proposal from the Southwest West Central Service Cooperative. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield is the carrier, and they're the agency in essence.
So the deductibles go up is why the rates stayed down?
No, the plan stayed the same.
The plan stayed the
Plans are
same.
exactly the same.
No loss of benefits,
It's just
like weird things along the way.
the
No
utilization.
loss of
Our
benefits.
utilization must have been really,
We've been the last couple years in a very good place as far as utilization, because certainly utilization really
Drives the cost.
drives the cost, yeah. And
I'd move acceptance.
We already did.
We did.
Yeah. So we just have to vote on it now.
Good to vote on. Sorry.
You voting yes?
and the net savings, if the number of people on the different plans would stay the same, and they'd stay on the same plan from 16-17 to 17-18 would be $170,000 net savings. Most of that going to the staff.
Staff should be more embracing this now. I mean, it's kind of like we turned the curve on that. More and more staff signing up for the insurance.
And that's what we anticipate. In
that.
fact, we've been seeing that with Obamacare and for those that went out onto the exchange and got their own plan, they're seeing extremely high increases, and a number of them are coming back to the Marshall School District plan. So that's a good thing. I think we're reversing that trend of what we were facing for quite a long period of time, where those people that were healthy or young people or whatever were not signing up for the insurance, even, with the district contributions, whatever the group that they might belong to. And now we're seeing that trend change back, which is a good thing, and it provides a good health for our insurance plan, overall insurance plan for the school district.
Excellent, very good. We'll call for the vote, please. It is approved.
Good work, Bruce.
Thank you. And again, National Insurance Services provided a very good direction for us. And by the way, I'll just pass this along. You can take a look at it if you wish. Matt has already seen it, has his own copy, but nonetheless,
Great reading.
it's great.
I trust Matt's diligence in the process.
There we go. There you go, Bill.
You serve on the insurance committee, Matt?
Huh?
Do you serve on the
Yep.
committee?
Moving on, we'll move on to an action item of approval to advertise and hire a special ed teacher. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
It's open for discussion. Hearing no discussion, please vote. It is approved. And I thought this was going to be a long meeting today, but
Maybe next time.
Sorry.
can we try for a longer one next time?
Yeah, we'll go for a longer
All
one.
right.
Bruce and I can talk about a lot of really interesting stuff if you want to
All right,
stretch it out for a while.
Interesting.
Did you guys have anything you'd like to bring up?
I'd just like to thank the custodial staff at the high school, specifically Jamie and Jill, with prom setup this last week, specifically Friday. They went way above and beyond what they should have, what they were expected to do. They put off their regular cleaning until about 8:30, and they both got off at 10 to help set up. They had to make a field trip to the high school, to the middle school, to pick up tables because there weren't enough. And I just really like to thank the custodial staff in the district because they do go way above and beyond what is expected for these activities.
Thank you.
How many days, Kevin?
33.
33.
That's school days or?
That's everything.
Very good. Anything else, guys? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.